My name is Akinnayajo Babatunde Andrew. People call me Mr Tunez, filmmaker. My family background, I'm from a family of 5. The second born, the first son, and I think that should be all right. Yeah, I started filming years back, and I started with photography. I always like to include my photography life before talking about filming. Filming started basically in 2013. Professionally, let me say. I've actually been having a lot of videos before then, but 2013, I started video professionally after learning somewhere, and decided to continue on my own. The meaning of Mr Tunez, he started long ago. While I was in primary school, it was a cousin of mine who used to call me Tunez Brown. It was actually Tunez Brown, T-U-N-E-S Brown. And he called me Tunez Brown, while I was growing up and all that. So when getting to the university, I was one of the most popular guys in school. I was an MC. I was the manager of the popular group, House of Talk, which still ringing. The comedian was under me then, so I was to be the manager. So the name, possibly, the Mr. Tunez was cropped out of Tunez Brown because a lot of people probably didn't want to call the whole of the word Tunez Brown. So somebody started one day and said, Mr. Tunez. And before I knew it, he went around the whole school, and before I knew the whole of Ondo State, before I knew it, it was everywhere, Mr. Tunez. So I had to leave it that way. Then when I became a filmmaker, the passion for making films, after leaving the film school and other experiences, I felt it was good to make a surname after having a first name. So I had to join filmmaker to Mr. Tunez, and it made it complete. Yes, I had to go to a filming school, not just because I wanted to know more. I've actually been shooting before then. I have to say that I started out on my own. I learned on the job on my own. But there was a purpose. I had to go to a filming school. I had to go to filming school, or the film school rather, because I wanted to learn the ethics of filmmaking. I wanted to know how things are done. You know, in Nigeria, we're in a country where people do not follow the ethics. It's very bad and, very unsatisfying to see that even the so-called celebrity in our industry do not follow the ethics of filmmaking. So it's like going to school, understanding chemistry 101, understanding why this is done. It's a different thing from just learning, so I had to do that. That was the purpose behind me going. Funding in film business, it's something that is very difficult. It's extremely difficult, and it's one of the major, is a challenge for most filmmakers. And for me, it's actually a challenge. It was a challenge too, and even till now. When I started out, I didn't have the means to fund my business or to fund the film. I had to get money from friends and family, okay? And subsequent times, I had to use my own money from other businesses because I actually run other businesses alongside what I do. So funding could be very, very difficult, but then when you get that money from this left, right, you join them together, you have to use them to fund the film. And that's how we get my funds. Okay, the major skills that I would say that is necessary before you can call yourself a filmmaker, there are quite a number of them. And number one, I always tell my own students that you have to be a photographer first. If you do not understand the act of photography and the art of photography, it might be difficult to be a successful filmmaker. Now, being a filmmaker, it's an ambiguous word, it's a large word. A filmmaker is somebody that makes a movie. So if you are a sound guy, you are a producer, you are a cinematographer, you are a colorist, whatever you are, we are all filmmakers. So far, we are making films. Now, under being a filmmaker, you have to pick a specific thing you want to do, a specialization. And that could be either being a cinematographer, or being an editor, or being whatever. So to be a successful one, I always advise people, you need to have an idea of everything you're doing. You need to you must understand the art of cinematography, you must understand the art of editing, you must know a little of directing, you must know a little of lighting, you must be a gaffer, you must be a technical guy, you must have a little idea of technical designs, set design. It's a lot, it's a whole lot. We have focus puller. You must have a little idea of this because all together, that's what makes you a filmmaker. But if you're just a cinematographer, Yes, you understand how to operate the camera, but when your editor is talking another thing, you probably do not understand, and that could be a problem for you. So it's always better, even in film school, they teach all this. Then your final year, you pick a major, area where you want to focus, and that makes you a filmmaker. Yeah, for my projects, the most challenging projects I've ever done, well, I could say all of them have been challenging, okay, but the challenges differ. One of the most challenging projects I've actually done is the one it wasn't mine, I didn't self-produce it. I worked with an American, and it was very challenging. She expected so much from me on that set, being a filmmaker, and being a guy starting from Nigeria, a young boy from nowhere, learned on my own, then later went to film school. I felt that was all. But then I never knew, I didn't know anything in filmmaking. It could be very challenging working with the standard. In America, they have what we call film rules and regulations. They have unions that guides filmmakers. So if you work with an American as an American filmmaker, what you end up getting is different from what a Nigerian gets. So coming together was really difficult for me because I did not understand so many things that is actually attached to being the standard film. So I had to go extra mile, I had to go read overnight, I had to go and read all the terminologies, I had to, apart from my work, looking at settings on cameras and all that. And I thought I was going to be working with this DSLR camera, and oh my God, on coming to the set, it wasn't a DSLR camera, it was an Harry Alexa, which is one of the biggest cameras. I felt like a newborn baby on set, because I didn't understand anything. But then, because of passes and the things I have worked on, I was able to maneuver it. So coming together to create such a project was very tedious for me. It was as if I was doing beyond myself. But at the end of it all, it came out very well. Then also, I had a film of my own, which was, I think, was Lunaire de Mille, Honeymoon. It was a bit challenging because I had to work with foreigners. I had a white guy on set, Daniel Herrera from Switzerland. I had Labelle Vition from France. And coming together to work with two of them was quite difficult because I've never worked, I was used to working with Nigerians. But working with these two people was very difficult. She didn't understand how things were done in Nigeria. I had to put her through, even though she had done some stuff in Nigeria. It was quite challenging. Sound was a problem for me because that's the number one problem in Nigeria, in filmmaking. Our sound is really bad compared to what it is in the US. So I had to work on that. I managed to get pulled through. I got something. But post-production, I knew I had a problem because I had to do a lot of editing to keep it together. But then it came out well. So those two for now, I could say they are one of my most challenging work. And then the last one I had, which was Hangout, was just recently completed. It was shot. I liked it because it was very easy for me because of experience over the years. But then it was challenging because I lost a lot of gadgets. Some of my lenses spoiled on sets, my drone crashed, and some other equipment had little problems. Well, that's never happened to me. So I could say it was challenging because we had to order, new things online to get, to repair the drone, to repair some of these things and all. It was fine. So,
are you married?
I'm not married. I'm not married. I'm single. Yeah, I think that's like one of the most easy thing for me to do. Because right from time, I've always had ladies around me, and I don't mix pleasure with work. So no matter how beautiful the girl may be or attractive she is, I do not give any kind of consent to any attraction, side talks or whatever on set when I'm working. So if you're working together, it's that we're working because we want to achieve something, and that's all. Then handling them outside offsets, okay, I could say I'm engaged, so I really don't have time for any other person, but just a man, or a woman rather, so that's all. Yes, being an entrepreneur, it's also challenging, but really, I really would say it has really helped me, even in the area of my filmmaking. As I said, I have other businesses, I do several other things. I have a cinematography school, I'm into farming, I have other things I do, I sell, and I do business within and outside Nigeria as well for people. So that has helped me to actually fund my film business because getting funds is extremely difficult. In Nigeria, 10 million naira could be big to us, but I tell you, 10 million naira is a low budget movie. 20 million naira is a low budget movie. 50 million naira is still a low budget movie by standard. But in Nigeria, if we get the 10 million naira, it's still good. But then if you're an entrepreneur or a young filmmaker, where do you get 10 million naira from? It's going to give you 10 million naira to start your movie. It's going to be very difficult. But because I do other things, once in a while, I'm still able to manage, push, draw this from there, put together some millions to do some movies. Then you see the movie and you're like, is this the movie you shot with a million naira? But then you probably wouldn't know if you're not in the business. But being an entrepreneur has really helped me in my life. That's covered a lot of shame. You know, there are times you don't have this, there are times you don't have that. But because you have some money coming from elsewhere, you can, you know, help yourself out and live your life. Wow, one of my greatest fear is failing in life. Greatest fear is failing in life. Failing in life, and you know, I believe nobody wants to fail. As a creative, I've always been a creative right from time, and right from my cradle, I've always been an actor. I've always been in the entertainment scene from age like 8. I've always been acting all my life. I've always acted all my life. And one of the fear of not failing is I don't want to do something and people will condemn me. And I think this actually applies to most creatives. When you draw, when you do something, you always watch out for what people have to say about what you can do. And because of that, it made me a perfectionist. Being a perfectionist is not good, but then I'm always very keen about everything because I'm always afraid people should not cast me. People should not cast down my work or throw me away or criticize me to an extent whereby they destroy probably what I have done. So one of the fear I have is failing in my work, and which is also my life. And one of the ways I actually overcome that, the only thing that has helped me to overcome that fear is Jesus. And that's because I'm a Christian, and I always believe that whatever you want to do, you always hand it over to God. So even before I start editing, before I start shooting, before I start doing anything in my work, people know me, I first pray about it. After shooting, I pray. And when it's time to start editing, I pray on my system, so that it does not mess up or mess what I know how to do up. Because it's a different thing to be good and it's a different thing for the devil to mess you up through your system. So when I do that, the fear leaves. At the end of it all, it comes out well. Wow, now that's a big question. If I'm able to change 3 things in the industry, the film industry, first of all, I'll change the ethics of making films. Just this morning, I was writing on my phone what came to my mind about the way we handle films in Nigeria. Number 1, we don't follow ethics. If you've ever worked with any foreign person, you will know that what we're doing most of the time, I'm sorry to say, is rubbish. Because on our sets, we don't follow procedures. We do not give opportunity for other people to explore, or exhibit what they know how to do. And because we don't follow procedures, our outputs will not come out well. And that's what I mean. For example, I want to work with a young guy who is coming on set, but I don't have plans to pay him. How do you expect him to grow? Now, in a foreign system, whether you're small or big, once you're coming on set, everybody is going to be paid. The prices or the price tag might differ, but then we don't have a system that follows that or that supports that. So if there's one thing I'm going to change, I'll change the ethics first of film business in Nigeria, so that everybody can blow, everybody can have the opportunity to become popular, and everybody can have the opportunity to, live a life through the means of their passion. That's number 1. Then number 2, in the industry, if I'm going to change anything, I'm going to change the government. The government is actually supposed to support the film industry 100%. In America, there's a ready-made system that helps from the government to support a lot of film. In other Bollywood, in Bollywood too, I've read several times about their industry, and I know that their government supports a lot of their films. But in Nigeria, yes, they say they support us, but I don't understand how it doesn't get to a lot of people. But I still don't call that support, because if the government is truly involved, there should be a system that monitors that. Just the way we have a system that monitors election, that they take it so they take it so with all priority. If there's a system that monitors the film industry from the laws we have, it's going to help us. For example, in the US, I'm sorry for using the US because that's like the Hollywood standard. That's the standard at the Hollywood, and I learned from an American. And in the US, you do not pay less than, let's say, $8 per hour to anybody that works on a film set. Well, it differs according to states, Texas, California, but then I don't think anything is in the whole America, I don't think it's less than $7. That's made by their what? Probably the legislature. If you go beyond that, you pay a boy $6, you go to jail. Now, if our government is really in support of what we're doing, and we have laws binding our film industry, it's going to make us better. And number 3, another thing that if I could change, I would love to change if I had the opportunity or the power to, is the mentality of the youth. A lot of us want to be big, but we are lazy. I wish I could touch everybody to be very hardworking. There's so many opportunities out there, but we always want to wait for the golden opportunity before we do stuff. So if there's anything I'm going to change to, I'd like to change the mindsets and the youth as well, in general. Have I ever regretted being a filmmaker? That's a big question. Yes, I have. And I think when I started, I started alone, I said the other time, and I had to learn on the job. I had to put all my resources, I had to borrow money, I had to put all my money, my pocket money from friends and family. And because of that, I was always broke, and there's so many things I really love to do. As a person, I love academics so much. I have a master's in two different disciplines. I'm working on my PhD at the moment. I have professional certificates. I love to also school while I'm doing my filmmaking. I don't like to be one-sided. I like to be versatile. So I go to school. Now, because of this, I was going to school, I was shooting. For years, I was extremely broke. Now, a lot of people see Instagram and say, this guy is enjoying, this guy, you're good, we they see your picture now, they travel. Bro, it's not as easy as you think. There are times I just have 1,500 naira in my account. Even till now, happens once in a while. There are times when I drain all my accounts on my films. The last movie I shot, when I finished, I did not have a naira in my account. I mean, it was totally empty. It was GTB, so sorry for the advert, but anyway, it was GTB and it was 0 naira, so there was no minimum balance if anyway. And I had to live my life, I had to move around, but then people see you see your pictures and like, wow, this guy must be making a lot of money. Times like that, I regret being a filmmaker because there's nothing to live on. Expectation is high from people. People really feel you have the money, whereas you do not have the money. And because of that, there are some things you get deprived of. There are times you want to do some things and people think you have money now, should be now in the shoot film, you need to do this and all that. But then there's no money anywhere. So, times like that, I regret being a filmmaker. It makes me to regret. If I probably was in the office using my certificates and I'm a banker, I know how much I probably will be earning in a month. Or probably I have the opportunity to work in a company like Shell, or probably work in one big corporate company wearing a tie. I probably will be earning like 400,000 monthly. I'm not stressing myself. I go to work, I come back 6 o'clock in the evening. I could afford to, pay bills as I want immediately, And times like that when I see some of my friends who are in the bank, and they're talking of making money at the end of the month. I don't expect anything at the end of the month. I work my way out to get what I want, So those times, seriously, I regret being a filmmaker. I usually try to avoid that question most of the time. Who are those I look up to in the film industry? Trust me, I don't have mentors. I've been interviewed on radio several times and I've been asked this question. I don't have a mentor. It could be very strange, yes, but that's because I've not seen anybody who I want to be like. I want to be Tunez. I want to be who I am. I want to be somebody that other people will also say, okay, let me look up to him. I don't care about whether they look up to me or not, but I've not seen anybody who is looking in the direction of my dreams. I actually intend to be one of the most educated filmmakers in Africa. And I don't think I've seen anybody who is like that right now. So because of that, I don't have a mentor. But in the foreign scene, I have people who I actually admire their work. Number one person who is the father of work, Steven Spielberg. I respect him so much. I looked into his movies. I've read so much about him. I really want to be so great, creative and wonderful like him. I have other people who I also respect too in the film industry, like actors, the producers in the film industry in Hollywood as well. But for Nigeria, I respect my boss. I respect Kunle Afolayan. Not just because it's popular, no, not that. Not because everybody says his movies are actually nice. There's something I look for in movies, apart from the story, the colors and all that. He has carved a niche for himself, not just because of his story or delivery, but because when you see his movies, you will know there's a difference in his movies compared to other movies. When you carve a niche for yourself, when you carve this thing for yourself, when people know this is what you know how to do, when they see your movie, we don't need to ask questions. Okay, word of advice to up and coming people. I don't like calling people upcoming. I think I've read and learned several times that calling people upcoming could be demeaning. It's better if they are up and coming people. All right. And so to all up and coming people in the house, my advice is this: no big man in the whole world ever started big. Everybody started from wearing pants around from childhood, rolling tires on the streets, playing with empty cans, playing with sand in their primary school. Then they probably went to secondary school, wearing torn uniform at some point, being beaten by a teacher. Then they went to the university, blah, 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 till they became who they are today. So don't worship anybody as God. They all started small. If that person you admire could be big or could be as big as what he is, you can be better. And another advice is this: stay very close to God. Nothing is certain in life. No matter how big you are, no matter how great your dreams could be or you want your dreams to be, it can all be a nightmare if you don't know God. Because all of a sudden, over the night, everything you've arranged can be destroyed. But when you know God, your dreams and God coming together becomes a big success in life. It's like teardrops dropping from the sky. It is like a blessing in disguise that we fail to realize, yeah, but we have to pay the price. Alright, my name is Akinnayajo Babatunde. People call me Mr Tunez Filmmaker. I am Nigeria's tallest filmmaker, and I'm live on the seat on Extreme Buzz TV.